Hey, seasoners, welcome back to another episode of My First Season. My guest today went to Club Med St. Lucia as a teenager and thought that GOs had the coolest job of anyone, and this was his first contact with Club Med. He studied at Ithaca College and got certified as an instructor at Pro Dive in Fort Lauderdale. An ex-GO told him about Club Med, and he applied. He then had a phone interview with Club Med, and they gave him all of 1 hour to decide. I personally would have only needed 30 seconds to decide, but that's me. His first season was in Club Med Columbus Isle, and he might be the only GO that I know of who arrived on Christmas Day. Yep, he arrived on December 25th, 1996. He then worked in Turks and Caicos 3 separate times. He, of course, met his future wife in Turks because when you work at a singles resort, you meet your wife, right? He suggested to her father that they do the resort course, and the rest is history. Please help me welcome from the Sunshine State, the one and only Gooch. Hey, Gooch, how are you this morning, sir?
I'm great, Greg. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for saying yes. And someone suggested your name. They go, "Hey, have you had Gooch on?" I said, "What's a Gooch?" And then we met you, and you seem to live up to the hype, my friend.
I appreciate that.
Okay, so are you ready to light the fire, as the kids say?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so we mentioned that you went to Club Med actually as a teenager. So I assume you went with the whole family there?
Yeah, I went with my dad and my sister.
Okay, so you were teen club. Did you stay with the teen club or did you go on your own?
Oh yeah, I stayed with the teen club. I'd never seen anything like it before. I remember it was just the time of my life. It was the best.
And were you hanging around the scuba instructors then? Did you do like a resort course yourself?
Yeah, we were certified and experienced divers already, so we would go on dive vacations, once a year when we had off from school with my dad. So we'd go to the Cayman Islands, we'd go to, some other nice dive destinations, and someone suggested, St. Lucia and Club Med would be a lot of fun, and they had the kids club and everything, so it was just perfect for us. So we would dive during the day every morning, come back, and we kind of all go our own ways, and I'd go to the teen club, and my dad would do whatever he did then, I guess. And we had a great time. We just had a great time.
Okay, I thought you got certified at Club Med. So how old were you when you got certified for scuba?
I was actually 11 years old when I got certified. We were on vacation in the Cayman Islands. We actually had family friends that lived there in the Caymans, so we'd go there every year. We were avid snorkelers. At 11, I was just old enough then to learn. So my dad got us a course, and we all just absolutely fell in love for it. Fell in love with it. We went home and got certified. I was from Philly. We went home and did all the book work and classwork there, and then we went back to the islands to finish the dives in a nicer place than Philly, obviously.
Yeah, little East River snorkeling, huh? No.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was my thought exactly. When I here in Canada, it's full of murky lakes and rivers. So yeah, I vowed never to dive again until it was the ocean, and where the visibility, is pretty good, right? And then you got certified as a scuba instructor at Pro Dive in Fort Lauderdale, and it only take you roughly about 2 months to become an instructor.
Yeah, I was an advanced open water diver, and I had plenty of dives for the qualifications. I had over 100 dives, so it's a pretty intense course. I started right away. You get there, you enroll. You're staying at a hotel right there, kind of on property. You're doing the pool work and the dives every single day. So we did rescue diver in 1 week, then dive master took another maybe 10 days, and then right into the instructor course. Yeah, so about 2 months total.
Okay, now did you get your? We should address this fact. Did you get your nickname during the becoming a scuba instructor? Did you get your nickname at Club Med? Well, where did this happen?
It's a great question. So my nickname actually came from college. It was a fraternity pledge name my freshman year at Ithaca College in upstate New York. And when you join a fraternity, they just give you basically a silly name, a silly pledge name. And at the time, at that age, we all had grown up with a TV show called Different Strokes. And probably people probably remembered what you're talking about, Willis, that one. And the Gooch was a bully that was always chasing Arnold. Apparently, they never showed him, but the Gooch is after me. So it was just a funny name. I wasn't a bully or anything. I was a pretty easygoing guy, but I'm a big guy and I kind of look like a Gooch, I guess.
Well, just give us an idea. What were some of the nicknames of your other fraternity brothers?
Oh boy, thanks for asking that. We
Well,
had,
no, I mean it can be random. You don't have to name them all. I'm just
yeah,
just to
no,
give
no,
me an
there was
idea
sure, sure.
if they're appropriate, mind you. Okay.
I actually got it. I got a pretty good one. I think there was skirt, pooper, taint, uh,
Oh boy.
tex. There was a bunch of them, all pretty silly. I think we had
Well, yeah, yes. Fun fact. Yeah, your name went from being a bully to something else because, in a random search, we found out that, and I guess it was during the show Jackass that you realized they were using Gooch for another word for something else, correct?
yeah, exactly. When I grew up, it was never construed as anything dirty or anything like that, or a body part that people now kind of know it as. And I saw the word just kind of evolve into the popular, language, and everyone all of a sudden said it was meaning something else. So
Yes.
it's kind of unfortunate that now people think it means the a body part. Let's say.
Yes. Well, you already had a fraternity brother named Taint, so I guess you
Yeah,
could have two taints, which is yes, a
that's
body
it.
part on the male. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. All right.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Don't worry, listeners. We're going to segue from this. Okay. Now, yeah. So but at Pro Dive that's where you met someone who told you about Club Med?
Yeah, one of the reasons I chose Pro Dive, and I would recommend it. It was an excellent program, and I think they're still around and going strong. They had a job placement program, and I wanted to work in the industry, obviously, as a scuba instructor, and I always wanted to work at a big resort or something like that. And I didn't want to just work in my hometown dive shop or anything like that, so I wanted to go away and live in a resort. And the one of the course directors, one of the guys that ran the course was an ex-GO. I think he was an ex-GO, or he had a lot of friends that were GOs, and he had connections with Club Med. He he said, you'd be perfect for Club Med. When he asked me, did my exit interview before they were going to try to place me, he said, you'd be great for Club Med. You're really outgoing. I see you kind of leading the charge to go out for some cocktails and dinner after work with the gang. He said, you're kind of that social guy. I think you'd be great at Club Med. I said, oh my God, I went to Club Med when I was a kid, and I always had said I would love to work there. And I said, do you think I could? He said, I will get you in there. And sure enough, I got in pretty quickly.
Yeah, and you got a phone call, and so you didn't even have. I guess they needed someone ASAP, and they call you. Do you recall who first telephoned you?
Yeah, I got pretty lucky in that, with I've talked to lots of people, obviously other GOs when I was there, and they were trying to get on board for a long time. For me, I drove back from Fort Lauderdale back up to Philly, and when I got there, my mom said, "There's already been calls for you on the answer machine, and they want to interview you right away." So I cannot remember the name of it. It was just a corporate calling. It wasn't it was just someone from Miami, I think, and don't remember the name. And they said we need someone right away. We had someone go home for whatever reason from Columbus Isle, and I'd never heard of it. I'd never heard of the island San Salvador, and there wasn't internet yet. This was 1996, so I couldn't just look it up and learn all about it. But they said it's an island in the Bahamas. It's great diving. If you like scuba diving, this is a great one. So I kind of took their word for it on that. And they gave me exactly 1 hour to make up my mind. They said, we got to go to the next name on the list if you don't want it, but we'd love to have you. So
And did you take that hour, or did you take only
I
like five
actually
minutes?
did. I remember I went, I made a pros and cons list. I had wanted to be, stay at home for the holidays and everything. And I thought my mom would be pretty disappointed. And, she was a little bit, but in the end, she said, "Hey, you got to follow your dreams and just take it." She said, "You don't know if another opportunity like this is going to come along for a while." She said, "Just go ahead and take it." So I was on a plane. I think the day after that, they FedExed me. They next dayed me a ticket, and I was at the Philadelphia airport the next day after that.
Yes, and I'm not kidding. I think you're the only one to ever arrive on Christmas Day that I know of. And in my 10 years, have you ever met anyone that arrived on Christmas Day?
I don't think so. It was such a weird thing. It was midweek. It was mid-season. It was just such a strange set
The
of
busiest
circumstances.
and the busiest day of the year. Okay.
Yeah, busiest day of the year. Everything was just crazy. Just such a whirlwind. But like, then you just arrive and they pick you up and you don't know what the heck you're walking into. But the Christmas festivities were in full swing when I got there, and it was pretty awesome. It was a pretty good welcome.
Yeah, this is where we just kind of missed each other because I spent almost a full year that year in Columbus, but I had left before you got there. And then the chief of village changed. So Yves Mongis was your chief. And but I'm assuming Jean Paul Morales was your chief of scuba.
No, actually, when he must have just left then, because I do know the name, and I'm Facebook friends with Jean Paul Morales, but it was Olivier. Um,
Olivier. Okay.
Olivier. He was my scuba chief, super super nice guy, and not to get into it, but he kind of died kind of tragically after that.
Sorry to hear that.
You know, he died in a diving accident shortly thereafter. So he'll be
Okay.
missed.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, yeah, good guy, a very good guy.
Well, what's it like arriving on Christmas Day and it's your first season? Like, what do you remember about? I mean, there's must have been a lot of activity going on.
There was, and I remember they said we're having like meeting, all the GOs and everything, and I was just, my head was just spinning. They showed me my room, and I didn't know what to do. They said, look, get put your stuff down, take a shower, and then we're meeting at where was it? I think at the scuba dock, and they actually took us out on the boat, and it was a little bit of a party for the GOs. So I went right into that. It was pretty awesome because I got to meet a bunch of the people, a bunch of my coworkers, and they just took us out for like an hour cruise and gave us some drinks, and we really had a nice time. I got to meet some of the scuba team. It was like perfect. It was just perfect timing. And then of course it was we got back and it was game on, go. We got to dress up nice for dinner and all that.
At least you weren't in the show, right? You just got there.
Right,
Okay.
right. Not in the show. And they said, take tonight off. Obviously, like just observe, but see how we do things and everything. And I can't remember who they matched me up, but one of the scuba instructors was kind of like I just followed him around, and we had a great time. We had a really great time, and I watched the show, and they did like fireworks and everything. It was a really nice display. They went all out for Christmas that year. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, and since this was your first village, you probably thought all the geo rooms were the same. And well, we'll talk about Turks when we get to it. But having worked in both resorts, now you probably know that Columbus has pretty good geo rooms, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, it was great. It was this whole separate building, a little bit of a walk from the village, a little bit out there, but I'll take a 5 minute walk to have. I remember I had a phone in my room. I had a TV. It was incredible. Like so for me, I'm like, this is a nice hotel room. I thought all of them were gonna be like that, and obviously, uh, quite an eye opener once you got once you got to turquoise. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, the phone is good until you realize, wait a minute, reception can call me now to tell me there's an arrival.
Yeah,
Okay. But if I was in any other village, there would be no phone, so I probably should answer it, right? Did ever that go through your mind?
yeah, yeah. That's true. That is true.
Okay.
I would get the call. Hey, you're late for work. Let's go. Let's
Yeah,
get to the
it's
boat.
it's funny that Geo's always thought, no, it must be a family member, and then like, oh, burned. You're like, no,
Yeah.
why would your family be calling you at 6 in the morning? Okay,
Right.
for an arrival. Okay. Well, what else can you tell me about your first season? Any stories?
So that first season for me, obviously it was a little bit, strange because it was kind of a half season, a little shortened, but it was what my main memory of Columbus is that the scuba diving was absolutely top notch. It blew my mind. I mean, and I didn't think the Bahamas could be that good because I'd been all over the Caribbean. But people ask me still to this day, what's the best diving? And I say, it actually might be San Salvador, Bahamas. The wall was not even a 10-minute boat ride from the beach. And it was beautiful. It's a gorgeous club. It was like a brand new club, only open a couple of years at the time. So that really sticks out that I was like, man, this is really, top notch diving, top notch facilities. Those dive boats were custom made, these huge, everyone remembers they were pretty iconic, like giant platform, dual hull and everything, just gigantic, comfortably fit 50 divers, you know? So I love that. As for the actual experience, I mean, it was all new to me. So I remember just, it was so much fun. But I remember I would go to like the disco. They said, oh, go because I was young. I was 24 years old, and I wanted the nightlife and I wanted to meet girls and all that, and it really was pretty quiet. So I have to say that the disco most nights, by 10 o'clock, 10:30, it was just kind of me and a couple other people hanging around. So it
Yeah,
was
this is the village one would normally meet their wife, Gooch, not in Turks and Caicos, but don't worry, we're going to get to there. Now,
That's
how
great.
did you see hammerheads on your first dive in Columbus? Do you remember?
Oh, that's a great question. So, the hammerheads came out in the winter. That was when you would generally see them as the water got colder. It was just starting to become that time, and I really it wasn't right away, but sure enough, within a couple of weeks of getting there, I was seeing hammerheads on almost every dive. It was incredible. It was, and actually, as a new dive instructor, I had been diving in the Caribbean a bunch, but I had never, even in Fort Lauderdale, I had never seen a shark. And I was, a little bit nervous about seeing sharks. And here I am going to the Bahamas, and I was briefed, and I remember it was shout out to Geo Crystal Boldu, who I wound up doing a few seasons with. She's a good friend of mine still. I was kind of shadowing her on that first dive, and she said, "Okay, tell your group, here's what you'll tell them about the dive site and everything." So she gave me a briefing before I gave my people a briefing, and she said, "Sharks, you'll definitely see some sharks here. Maybe some hammerheads if we get lucky, and definitely some Caribbean reef sharks." And I looked at her, I'm like, "Wait, sharks?" I had no idea. And turns out, the Bahamas is just famous for shark diving. So I was a little nervous, but I had to put on a brave face, of course, and I knew I would be okay. But I had to keep my group safe. So I went there and I confidently told them we're going to maybe see some sharks and everything. And the whole first dive, I remember my head was just on a swivel, looking every which way, wondering if I was going to encounter a shark and if it was going to go okay. And of course, maybe not that first dive, but pretty shortly after we saw sharks, and I realized that they're great. They became my favorite thing to see.
Yeah. Now remember, when you're leading a group and you see a shark, you just have to swim faster than the slowest person, right? I'm kidding, people. I'm kidding. Jeez. Did you guys play pranks on each other? Because I discovered scuba pranks my first season in Turks. So I was just curious if in '96 you guys were doing that at all.
Oh yes, yeah, the pranks.
Okay.
I mean, the camaraderie. I mean, let's be honest. The camaraderie at a Club Med is second to none with all the geos. It's such a team. But amongst the scuba team, it's even closer because you're working together, and you rely on each other for the safety of the passengers, of the GMs, and just generally to make it all run smoothly. So you become a pretty tight team, and for sure we would blow off steam. And I remember one thing that we would do. So we would bring lunch on board for the GMs. They would deliver it down to the scuba dive. Or actually, no, we had to go pick it up at the kitchen every morning. And
Yes.
everyone had, yeah, that was part of the work detail.
Those big brown plastic boxes,
Yes,
right?
yes, the big old thing you had to bring down there, and it took two people, and it was a pain in the butt, but it was your job. You do it, once on a rotating basis. You'd have the whole week. You'd have to get up extra early to go get the food, and you take the golf cart and bring that, and we bring it all on there. And it was cold cuts, and lunch meat and stuff, and of course that great, fantastic bread we had. So we'd have like 10 baguettes, full size baguettes that we would break off, and people would make sandwiches in between dives. Well, there was always plenty of food, so it was never a worry about that. And we would, when someone was doing the dive briefing upstairs or something, we would take lunch meat and hide it in their pockets of their BCD jacket that
Yeah.
holds the drink. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God. So you're thinking, well, what's the big deal there? Well, we jump in the ocean with the food. All of a sudden, you are just absolutely swarmed by swarms of fish all over you. Like, I mean, I say attacking, but they're not, no teeth. They're not going to hurt you. But you're trying to talk to your group and organize the dive, and you're just, just a pile of splashes all around.
Well, the ones that kind of had teeth, when I first saw this being done, it was with pizza in the BC and Durgeons. I don't know if you remember, Turks and Caicos had these Durgeons. Now, Durgeons to me were like piranha like, in that when they smelled food, they were on you. They were like a little black fish. And it's kind of terrifying when it's done to you because you don't know what's happening, right? You don't know you're holding an old piece of pizza in your buoyancy
Oh,
vest.
100%. Yeah, the black sturgeon. Gosh, I remember them. They're really pretty fish. They're black, but if you look up closely at them when they turn to the side, they really are very colorful as well. Them and Sergeant Majors and the French grunts, and they would just swarm you. So we would put it in the pockets, and normally it just takes you a few seconds to just reach in there, get that food out of there, and shake out your pockets a little bit and let the fish eat it and have their food. But then we got a little more creative, and I remember we wound up stuffing it down the back behind like the back plate.
Oh,
So
nice.
exactly, because it was too easy. We all knew to expect it and get it out of the pocket. So once we did that, we're like, what is going on? So you couldn't get it out. So the whole dive, you basically had fish all over you.
Nice. And roughly how long did you spend in Columbus?
So I finished up that season. So it was May when we were doing the the transitions. They asked me, and I remember Yves Mongis came in, the chef de village, and he said, we'd like you to stay. You're, get a good report from you. I didn't really know him, and he didn't really know me, but he said, "Yeah, you have had a good report, so you can stay." And I said, "Oh, thank you." But I had been told by that time, being kind of one of the the younger instructors, and obviously wanting the nightlife a little bit more. A lot of the divers that came there said, "Hey, this is great diving, but it's kind of a sleepy village. It's a couples village." They said, "You would be great, Gooch. You'd be great in turquoise. You need to go to Club Med Turquoise." And I said, okay. And again, no internet, so I couldn't look it up and read reviews or anything. But I heard it from so many people, and sure enough, they said that's where you want to go. That's great diving and great nightlife too. And sure enough, that was my place.
And you got it, and you're part of that pretty famous season. Kevin Batt is the chief of village. I think Hammer is your chief of sport, something like that.
It was absolutely legendary. That's exactly right. I mean, you have two legends of Club Med. I had heard so many great things about Kevin Batt, and of course, all of them are true. I bet you most of a huge percent of your interviews that you get here know Kevin Batt and Hammer, and just say those are the guys. They're the best. I think it was Hammer was my chief of sports. But I know I had Hendel in there too. I think that was until I got to turquoise. But
Yeah.
yeah, Hammer and Kevin Batt. So incredible and great guys. Kevin Batt, I'm sure everyone knows this. I'm not, tells out of school. He had been fairly recently attacked by a shark when he was chef de village or chef de sports in Cancun. So he one day shortly after he got there, he invited the scuba team over for like lunch and cocktails at his room. And he obviously had that really cool, chef de village suite and everything. And he had us all in there, and I thought it was the coolest thing. And I'd heard good things about him. It was the first time I really met him, and he was just like you said. He was just so friendly and so nice. Made everyone feel so at home. But he pulled out this album and he said, "You scuba divers are just crazy." He's like, "This is what I think about scuba diving." And he takes out this album, and on the front it has a picture of Jaws, and it was pictures from his whole recovery through the ordeal of being victim of a shark attack, and thank God he got away with that without any, serious permanent injuries or anything. But he was just wide open about it, like, and showed us, I mean, really graphic pictures of his injuries. It was unbelievable. But, to his credit, he was, there and smiling and working and being Kevin Batt again.
Were you at the wedding of Hammer?
You know, no, I was not. I don't
Okay.
I don't recall. I don't recall it. No, they were just the best couple. They were awesome. No, I don't know. I did take a little time in between seasons,
Okay.
so it might have happened when I was in between there.
All right. Now, did JoJo target you at all when you were leading a resort course or anything? Or give me your best
Oh,
JoJo
God.
story. Well, appropriate because JoJo, he's a little inappropriate sometimes. But what do you got for me?
Yeah. Oh man, JoJo. He was a character. I mean, first of all, I had great interactions with him so many times where he would just kind of be hanging around the dock when we would take off on the boat, and we'd tell all the guests, "Hey guys, come to the back here. Let's take a look." And sure enough, JoJo would be like swimming in the waves and jumping, and it was, I'm taking pictures. Like I'm a tourist too, and it was incredible. It was just the coolest thing. Sometimes he visit us on scuba dives, and we'd just get really cool underwater photos with them. But there was one time that really stands out on my resort course, like you said, because in turquoise we would do the resort course right off the beach sometimes when the weather was nice, when it was calm and clear, and it usually was. So we would do that, and I had a full group, big 6 or 8 students with me, and we're in about maybe 6 feet of water right off the shore and just in a circle, and the person like in front of me, opposite of the circle of me, is like eyes get big as saucers and start pointing behind me and just pointing and pointing frantically. And I'm like, okay, you're gonna turn around and see a shark here. Don't freak out, keep it cool. And I turn around and there's JoJo, and he's like right there, nose to nose with me. And he's just, smiling, and you hear him like doing his chirping and everything. And I'm like, oh my God. And, here's JoJo. He's come to join our lesson. And everyone's like, wow, it's so cool. Because he's huge. I mean, you don't realize how big this thing is. He's a wild animal that's, I don't know, 12 feet long. He's gigantic, bigger than most sharks you'll see. And he's right there. And he starts kind of going around the circle and going around the circle. And to keep it, PG 13 for you, he gets a little excited sometimes,
Yep.
as
Yep.
a dolphin will. Um, so it kind of, it was a little bit of an eye opener to everybody to see
Yeah. Say the
JoJo,
least.
yeah, JoJo trying to feed him.
Well, you're lucky. I didn't see that till after like 3 months of swimming with him. Yeah, I'm kind of jealous. You got to see it on your first shot, boy.
That's right. That's right. So I see it and I'm like, holy moly.
Yeah.
So and I'm like, here I am trying to be a good GO, keep it, family friendly. We actually had a younger diver with us there, and I think a teenager or two, family. And I was like, oh, come on, JoJo. Like, what are you doing here, man?
Yeah.
Making me look good.
Well,
So
I was more worried about being emasculated and felt rather inadequate when it happened to me. But okay.
that's right. That's right. If anyone doesn't know, we have the internet now, so you can look it up and see what we're
Well,
talking
yeah,
about.
not safe for work, people. Not safe
Right.
for work. You don't want to Google dolphin dong, okay, at your work computer. All right. So, all right, moving on. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean,
So,
we get out of the water, and he was really, in there for a while with us, and like I said, a little inappropriate. And one of the girls said, why did he do that? And um, I said it's very important that you know that he is not a GO. He does not actually work for us.
yes.
He's a wild animal. And we really have just absolutely no say in what he does.
Was your group fighting over like which one he thought he was attracted to? Like, it was me. No, it was me.
Right. Right. Well, I can tell you this: that he likes long hair. There was like long flowing hair, and
Yeah.
he was very attracted to that. So
Yeah. He likes his blondes. That's for sure. Okay.
yeah.
JoJo. All right. So aside from JoJo, what else can you tell me about this 97? Did you do 97, 98, or just 97 here?
Yeah, I did. So I did three separate seasons
Well,
at.
with the Kevin Bat team, like what can you tell me about that season? Because you
Oh, sure,
mentioned
sure.
Hendel, but Hendel's with Lulu the season after that. But I don't want to
That's what it is.
skip over anything with the Kevin Bat Chiva Village season. If you have some stories or anecdotes.
I'm trying to think on that first season.
Well, that's
Yes.
okay. That's
Okay.
okay. We can move to the Lulu season. It's because you did Turks three times in a row, so I'm sure a lot of your stories blend into
They do. Yeah.
one
They do
another.
blend. I
Yeah.
realized that the boat story, but I think you interviewed Makiko, and she was on my team that time that the boat ran aground.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And
What a
Makiko,
what a,
who famously went on to feed sharks at Stewart Cove. Yeah.
that's right. Yeah.
Is that something you would ever do, Gooch?
I have done the dives there on vacation years later.
Okay.
When I actually wound up owning a dive shop years later on my post Club Med career, and we did a bunch of dive travel. And I remember Stewart Coves, and we organized a trip to there, and it was fantastic. But I never did do the shark feeding. No.
Okay. Yeah. Just seeing them is enough, right? In the water. No need to get that close, right?
I mean, I had seen so many sharks by that point. They were just like, they're just normal animals to me at that point. But I mean, to do it every single day, feeding them and being the one that's got your hand on the chum, that's it's a little
Yeah.
dangerous. And they wear full chain mail and everything.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, she showed me pictures, and I was like, wow, this girl's a badass. I mean, let's be honest.
I know, right? I mean, she's
Yeah,
always so quiet and friendly, and then here she is feeding sharks in Nassau, like it's nothing.
amazing. Yeah, amazing. She really was a great diver. Yeah.
Who was your chief of scuba with the Kevin Bat season? Do you recall?
Yeah, so in my first season, it was Flower,
Yes.
who had gone on to he's a chef de village now, and he's doing well. Actually, he might be past that now. I don't know what he's doing exactly, but
Oh, he's
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 really
still he's still a chief of village, I believe. Yeah.
okay. Great, yeah, yeah, yeah. He's really made his way up, and he was great. He really was great. It was my first interaction with being a kid from Philly, with French, you know what I mean? And there's a different culture, of course, and he would call me lazy American, and I guess I was 23 and just a dumb kid, really, but we really got along. We had a lot of laughs. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun together, and we're still buddies to this day. We're still Facebook friends and still keep in touch. And haven't had a chance to see him yet, but to reconnect. But what a guy! He really a great guy. Funny story. I remember when we that day the boat ran aground. It was just a kind of an odd thing that he was on the boat that day. The chief of scuba is usually not hardly ever on the scuba boat because he's got other things going on in the village. But that day, I think he had some of the corporate people, maybe, or so someone was there that he was there to kind of entertain. So he's on the boat, and all of a sudden we run aground, and we're just like shocked because all the trips we've been on, this doesn't happen. And all of a sudden we realize we are fully on the reef. We've run aground in the middle of the ocean. We've run aground on the reef, and he looks at me and he goes, "Gooch, get the boat off the reef." I go, I don't think I can do that, Flower. Like, I'm only one man. The boat is like 10 tons. But obviously, we all got in the water, all the geos, and we tried to push and push and push and get off the reef, and it just was not happening. So we realized fairly quickly that we would have to wait hours and hours and hours for high tide to come in, and then get towed off the reef because it was flooding. It was just a mess. It was a total loss.
Oh, okay. That's but you had how many boats there total? Three?
Yeah, I think there was three of them. So yeah, we were down a boat for quite a long time, and I mean, this is a multi-million-dollar vessel. This is no joke. There's no little fishing boat. So it was a big deal. These are custom boats built by what's his name? Anyway, but
Yeah,
yeah,
Jano, I think
no, that's right.
yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh! And I think one of his sons was one of the captains for a while. And but yeah, this
I met his son at Columbus Isle. I think he was based out of there.
yes, yes, and
Yeah,
that's where I met him. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so just a real tough situation. I think they brought in because we were a pretty, we were one of the big scuba clubs, so I think they brought in a boat from somewhere else that wasn't, needing it as much as we were because we were booked solid as turquoise pretty much always was. We were booked solid for scuba.
Okay, Gooch, let's jump into the next season with Lulu. And I believe you had Gus as chief animation and Hendel as chief of sports this season, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
All right. Now I'm assuming you took a bit of break. Did you go home for a bit or did you just stay there after like the transition?
Yeah, I had gone home for a bit. Like I said, I was still kind of young, just out of college and everything, and I missed my family and my friends a little bit. As happens because I went kind of right away 2 seasons in a row. So I went home and took a little time. I think I took maybe it was a full season off, and I said to them, "Hey, call me when you need someone. If you need someone mid-season and this and that." And I was just itching to get back, so I called them. I said, "Absolutely, we could use you back at Turquoise." So, like I said, it was a big team. So when you have 14 dive instructors, it's, you're pretty much bound to have some needs. So I took a little time off, came back, and it was Lulu. My chef de scuba was Andre Lacroix, and love to give a big shout out to him because he is still one of my very good friends. I went to his wedding. Just we were really tight, and that team. And I stayed with Andre. Basically, I worked with Andre for a couple of seasons, and we were just really tight and a great team too. Yeah, I think that was probably maybe that was my favorite ones was those 2 seasons with Andre. And Hendel as chief of sports was amazing for sure.
Well, yeah, and you throw in Gus, and obviously these two went on to become chief of villages themselves, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Gus was hilarious. I mean, he was like the quintessential animator. Like he was just everywhere at all times and hilarious. He was great.
Yeah, yeah, playing his violin, didgeridoo.
Yeah. He was multi talented for sure.
So, what time were your geo meetings there? I guess they were late at night when you had one.
Yeah, I mean, we would. I remember meeting above. Oh, what was it? I guess like so. There was a scuba office, and right across there was like the dance studio. It was like where they would practice for the
Yes.
show and everything.
Yeah.
I remember. Oh gosh, one time being there, there was a hurricane coming, and again, no internet, so we just kind of heard about it by word of mouth. Guests would show up and say, "Oh boy, what is it about the hurricane? What hurricane?" So we had a meeting because the hurricane was definitely going to be bearing down on us, and we knew it was coming. So Lulu called a meeting, and we met their midnight meeting after the show and after Crazy Signs and everything. And she had a those of you know her know that she had a very thick Spanish accent, and she talked to us for 30 minutes straight about the plans and she said, the Huracan is coming. It is for sure. It's going to be here. The Huracan is coming. And she kept saying Huracan in almost every sentence for 30 minutes straight. And then any questions? She asked us any questions, and can't remember who it was. Raised their hand and said, "What is a Huracan?"
Yeah, because what the way you say it, I thought it meant Euro Convention, Eurocon for short, right? So a group of Europeans were coming to the village, is what I was gathering. But no,
Right? I mean, for sure he figured it out from context clues, I'm sure, and was kind of being funny. But I mean, Eurocon, it took me at least 10 minutes of that 30-minute meeting to figure out what the heck she was talking
yeah,
about.
it would have been much better if Europeans were coming instead of that hurricane, I imagine, because
But yeah,
everyone
yeah.
knows the amount of work involved getting ready before it and then during and after. So did it
It
go
was
through? Did it go through Turks?
it was a ton of work, and I remember we stayed up late that night. It was supposed to hit them, in the late the wee hours. We stayed up late on the scuba dock, having a little bit of a hurricane party, with the GOs. And before we had to batten down, we'd spent all day, working double time, making the village safe, getting everything that could blow away, put away, and the making the passengers the
Did you mean to say GM, Scooch?
yeah, yeah, keeping the GMs, safe and comfortable, and I think we moved everyone up to the upper levels because we really were expecting to get hit pretty hard and possibly dangerous flooding and everything like that. So we worked so hard just getting everything, prepared and safe and moving all the GMs, and then it just didn't hit us. It kind of died and took a left turn in the mountains of Hispaniola on the way to us at last minute. So we got a reprieve. We still had a bunch of rain for a couple of days, so I meant scuba was canceled, and there were still some waves and everything, but no damage at all to the club on that one. We just kind of rode it out, and those rainy days, you got to work extra hard there too. I'd much rather be scuba diving, but
Oh yeah.
you got to keep everyone entertained, and that's one thing. Obviously, everyone knows Club Med is just the best at customer service and making sure. So the guests still had a fun time. We had a great time, and we did games and this and that, and made sure that everyone still enjoyed their vacation. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I hated rainy days, obviously, but if I'm in a village with Gus and Hendel, I mean, I'm not going to hate them that much, right? Because I'm sure those
Exactly.
two were
Right.
going all out, to
Oh
entertain.
yeah, no, I mean they were so creative. I mean, again, I had a daytime service that I never left. So all of a sudden we're just walking around the village and supposed to be entertaining people. The scuba team's kind of a little lost, because we're dive 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 all day. But I was, like I said, outgoing, and I love to participate in the shows, and not all the scuba team did that. So I was pretty out there, and we had a lot of fun. And like you said, Gus and Hendel, they just made it so much fun. Like I'm like, how can they come up with so many games and activities? Like it was incredible.
What kind of shows did you do?
So I remember the scuba team, like we had to have some presence, because it was a pretty big part of, life in Turquoise was the scuba team. We were one of the bigger services. So we had to have something. So we did in, I don't think it was a lip sync, but it was like, I think maybe it was lip sync, and it was done in the disco. And we had a female instructor. She was Robert Palmer, and four or five of the guys were the Robert Palmer backup girls, right, in the dresses.
Oh, Addicted
So
to Love? Is it that song, Addicted to Love?
I don't remember if we did Addicted Love, or if it was
Oh,
like I didn't mean to turn you on or something like that, like
okay.
one of those songs, and we were just kind of like just moving our hips, being in drag for 5 minutes, doing lip sync, and it was pretty hilarious because we went over the top with the dresses and the heels, the boobs,
Did you guys ever fight backstage for the better dress? Because whenever I did drag, it was always the guys. I want the red one. No, you had the red one last week.
Oh, we definitely did. And I remember a couple of us were bigger guys, so we're trying to stretch things. I'm like, look, I need this one, man, because I can't fit into these other ones. So they were
Yeah,
skin tight on us.
they never had heels your size, so you always had to go
Oh,
barefoot, right?
oh yeah, no, the heels you can forget about that. Like I think they had one or two pair of like platform shoes that a couple people could wear. I think Winnie, shout out to Winnie, was one of our team, and I've got some pictures. I'll have you post them of that show, and Winnie's on there, and I think he was able to wear the platform.
Okay, Gooch, let's chomping at the bit here to jump to your next and final season in Turks because as I mentioned in the intro, this is where you met your wife. So I was just curious and wondering how did this all happen?
So yeah, it was I'm sure a lot of that's a fairly common occurrence there. But yeah, I mean, I was a single guy and I wasn't looking for it or anything, but I was at an arrival and I remember I just kind of saw her and I was attracted immediately. So I kind of like counted the people, the geos in front of me to kind of try to time it to so I would be the one to take her and it was her dad to the room. And it worked out. My evil plan worked, and I got up to the front and introduced myself, and we went to the room, and I turned on the charm right away, and asked them if they were doing scuba diving, if they were divers, and they said no. And I said, well, you got to come join my scuba lesson. I do resort course every morning. Tell them you want to be in my group. It's free. Blah blah blah. And they did. They showed up at scuba signups that night, and they signed up, and I was flirting with her the whole time underwater, in the pool lesson and everything. And we had a real connection. And I wound up leaving the club not early, but when my season was over, it was actually maybe only a month left. And I remember we were faxing each other every night. There was the telephones were so expensive you couldn't really do that. So and there wasn't internet yet. So I was faxing her, she faxed me back. And when I left there, I wound up I was thinking maybe I'll come back to the club or maybe I would pursue that. And I wound up moving in with her in Florida. And the rest, as they say, is history. We have a kid together. Unfortunately, we've divorced since, but we remain friends, and I'm actually re-engaged now. But I got a wonderful, wonderful son out of it, who's a diver as well now.
Oh, really? He took the scuba diving?
Oh yeah, yeah. I took him scuba diving. I got him certified when he was about 11, and I got to do it myself before I kind of retired from teaching. He was my last one of my last certifications, and now I get to just dive for fun with him. And I got my fiance certified as well, so we're out there having a good time together, as a family.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And that season that you met her, I believe your chief of village was Momo, correct?
Yes, yes, it was Momo.
Yes, in this last season of Turks Gooch, who was your chief of scuba?
I was Andre again.
Oh, okay, pulling double duty. All right, cool. So one season Columbus, three seasons Turks. You must have met a lot of people. So I'm just curious: is there anyone that you enjoyed working with? I know you've mentioned some names already, but is there anyone else that you had a great time?
Yeah, I definitely, mentioned a few of them with the chef de village. Kevin was amazing. Hammer, definitely some of my good friends. My, we're mostly the scuba geos because we're so tight. So I want to give a shout out to Crystal, Makiko, Dennis, Winnie, Tori, Zippy, Chad, John, Troy, Dana, Marcelo, Eric. Quite a few I can remember, and I'm so sorry if I missed anyone, but I love you guys. I miss you all. We had such great times together. It was amazing.
Was that Dana Winus?
Yes, yes.
Oh yeah. Okay. I didn't know you worked with her. Okay.
Yeah, we overlapped a little bit. It was actually on my last season for a couple of months, I think. And yeah, we became good friends. She lives in Florida, so we still keep in touch.
Yeah. Yeah. Her claim to fame is she hated me upon meeting me in Playa, and when I had her on as a guest, we talked about that.
Oh, that's so funny.
I said I was aware that you didn't like me that season. She goes, "Oh yeah, I couldn't stand you." So no, I love Dana. We're great. She was kind enough to come on and tell me why she didn't like me. But no, it's funny because I was a huge fan of hers. She would do her lessons in a shorty, and if you know Dana, well, that's all
Yeah.
all I'm gonna say. But yeah, big shout out Dana. And who's Zippy? I never heard that name before.
Oh, Zippy was we had two Chads that season. I remember that. And one I think we just stuck with Chad, and the other one we nicknamed him Zippy. He was I don't really know why, but he got that nickname there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Zippy and Gooch sounds like a sitcom there. Okay.
Yeah, we had like a trio, it was maybe three or four guys from California. All came from one dive school, one of the big ones in California, and they all kind of arrived at the same time, and like it was like this California infusion, and they were all really cool guys, and we were pretty tight.
Okay, cool. And now, so since I guess you left around 99, 2000, you've been about 22, 23 years outside of Club Med. Is there anything you miss about Club Med? Is there one thing? Is there three things that you miss?
Oh my God, there's so much. I mean, I would say, I mean, for me, it's really the biggest thing that I miss the most is the friendships. living together every day with your best friends. You become it's a tight bond. It was amazing. So I definitely miss that close bond and just waking up every day and seeing your best buddies and hanging out with them till the wee hours of the morning and then getting up and doing it all over again. So I miss that a lot. I miss definitely just getting up and meeting new people every day. Like you get into your normal lives and it's just not the same. And of course, the diving was some of the best in the world. Like so, being able to do that every day, I guess after a while you start taking it for granted, and then you come home. I remember the first time I had to pay for diving, and I'm like, oh my god, this is expensive. Like I
Well,
got to
yeah,
do this.
and not only that, you've got to lug your equipment, like you put it in your trunk or whatever. Whereas it's right there in Club Med, right? Like it's just
Oh my god,
there. Your
I
tank is
still
already.
yeah, 100%. I still tell people, if you want easy diving, the great diving that is just like, you don't have to do any work. It's just true vacation diving. That's Club Med.
Yeah. Did you ever, just out of curiosity, I ask this sometimes of instructors, did you start logging your dives and then after so many, you're like, it's too many, I can't keep up? Or did you
No,
log every single one?
no, I was never really great at logging my dives. I logged when I was
Okay.
younger. I logged my first probably like 70 or 80. My dad made us do it after every dive. We sat there at lunch or whatever afterwards, and we logged our dives. And it was a great way to keep memories and everything like that. But then, as dive computers came out, they would hold hundreds of dives, so you could always go back and look up your dive profile. So, nah, I lost that. It's kind of sad. It's like a diary of your dives, and I didn't really do it.
Could you put a number on it if you had a best guesstimate? How many
Oh,
dives?
yeah, I've tried to do that before, and I figured,
Okay.
how many dives I did in Club Med. I went from 100 and 150 when I started, and just exponentially went up. So, and now also, like I said, I continued diving as a dive instructor after that too for a decade. So, I'm definitely north of 1,500 dives.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Nice. Some good numbers.
yeah,
All right, Gooch, we are nearing the end. So before I let you go, I just want to make sure we covered everything. But if there's a story or something I forgot to ask you, you have anything like that? Did we catch it all, or you got one last story for us?
yeah. I mean, so many amazing memories. Too many to name them all, but one came to me. I was thinking about the dive team and all the fun we had and everything. And I remembered especially with Andre because we were good buddies right away, quick friends and everything. But he was good. He run a tight ship. And so he was punctual. He was always up early, first one there. I was the exact opposite. I was the last one, closing down the disco and everything. So no, I overslept a lot. So we called it the dive team, the scuba alarm clock. Someone would come by your door and maybe give it a quick knock, like, Gooch, come on, let's go. And I would sleep through that too. And next thing you know, we had this big cooler of ice water that we'd bring onto the boat, filled up there at the scuba dock, and two people would come over. And I'm talking a 5 gallon jug of full ice water, come right in the room. And if you didn't jump up before they got to you, poured it all over your head and your bed and your blankets and everything. That's totally soaked. And you would realize, you're late for the boat. So you got to jump up, put your bathing suit on, and take your mattress and put it outside your room so it could dry and get a night's sleep that night. So, I mean, people would be walking by and they'd be like, "Yep, Gooch overslept again." See my
Oh,
mattress
oh,
standing out to
okay.
dry.
So no one thought you were a bedwetter. They knew it was a prank, right? Okay. Okay.
No one could wet it that much. Oh my god.
Okay. No, I never heard that one. Scuba alarm clock. That's a great idea.
Yep.
All
So
right.
that's just one of those, you're 23, 24 and, Club Med and just, you're living the life. You're just living the dream. But yet it just amazes me how we were able to do it all, do the shows, stay up, do crazy science, stay up late, get up and do the scuba boat all morning and then do an afternoon lesson. It just, you worked so hard, but you played hard too. And it was just the time of my life.
Yeah, you sound like someone who would do it all over again in a heartbeat, right? You wouldn't change
100%.
anything, right? Yeah.
I wouldn't change anything about it. It was great. I've even told my son he's now, going off to college. He's 18, and I said, "Listen, man, you get your degree, and if you want to do what I did and go work in Club Med or go work in the islands, I would not stop you. Go have experiences like that."
Yes, get the degree first. Don't do what
Yep.
I'm doing right now, and I start class very soon. Okay. So yeah, exactly. Well, Gooch, this has been so awesome that you came on and shared your story with us. So I really like to thank you, and on behalf of all the listeners, thanks so much for doing this.
Greg, it's been my pleasure, man. I've been a fan of the podcast for a while, and you've had several people I've known, and I've just loved it. I've really enjoyed it. I'm like, man, I was thinking I'd love to go on that, and then you called me, and I was like, that's awesome. So I couldn't say yes fast enough.
Well, when someone suggests Gooch, you gotta have Gooch on, right? Like if a Gooch says no, then all hope is lost, right? Because I do get a lot of no's, but if a guy who comes highly recommended named Gooch said no, it would have crushed me. So thank you for saying yes.
My pleasure. I really do appreciate you having me.
Well, everyone, that was the one and only Gooch, and we'll see you all next week with another installment of my first season. Bye. Say bye to everyone, Gooch.
Bye, everybody. Miss you guys.